It's Frieren Friday, and we are given such a blessed sequence here. It's so beautiful, man. Like it can make a grown man cry. Like this is legitimately such a great scene because what this lets us know is that it's very clear that he is him. That he was deeply in love with Frieren, and as time progresses and as Frieren gets older and she looks back at her memories, the time she spent with him, she realizes just how madly in love she was with him and he was with her. And it's sad because obviously they never got to really fully have a relationship and become a couple. I mean, we saw the conclusion of it, but it's very emotional seeing this. And I feel like one of the big things here is that Frieren is realizing, what she has lost. For instance, as time progressed and all that, and, she had many chances to be with Himmel and all that, and to pursue a relationship, she did not realize the passage of time. She didn't realize just like how little time she had with him until it was already over. And I feel like that really is kind of like a huge statement that can be said for anyone in life. I mean, a lot of people don't realize what they have until they have lost it, and then they really appreciate what they have. And I think that's kind of a big message here. But once again, Frieren realizes that Himmel wasn't kind of stupid. He was aware of what the ring's significance was. For instance, the language of flowers and all that, and that it meant eternal love. And so this final sequence here, when, you have this little flashback and all that, and then Frieren thinks about it, she realizes that, it's very clear that Himmel was very much aware of what it meant. And when he gave her this ring, he got into the pose and all that and was like, pretty much, will you marry me? It's emotional. This is a very cute and sweet scene. It's very sad, obviously, because we know the conclusion of these two characters. For instance, Himmel, he dies of old age, and it's clear he's happy. He's not really upset with his life or anything from the final moments we got in episode 1, but it's just sad that they never could be a couple. Like, imagine, like, a what-if story, okay, hypothetically, like, you go back and let's say Frieren actually had the story start from like, the beginning when Himmel, was actually becoming a hero and all that, and we followed his journey with Frieren beside him. Imagine the conversation that would be around this scene, like if we saw it, like the journey of them and all that, we saw this scene animated, and then eventually it kind of led to nowhere to where he passed on. I cannot imagine the fandom and the rage that people would have. Like, oh my goodness. I know for a fact, people probably would drop the series. Like, if this wasn't, like, obviously about the passage of time and taking place after the events of this, I feel like an event like this, if you were to watch a series or read a manga series for probably 100 plus chapters and it got to this scene, you're like, oh my goodness, and then 20 chapters, 30 chapters later, basically find out it's the end of the Demon King, nothing really happens in a relationship, and, Himmel dies of old age. It's just like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's interesting. It makes you really wonder if we'll ever get a prequel. I doubt we ever will, and I think it would kind of tarnish the message of what Frieren is about, because it's obviously not about the beginning. It's about, just respecting the passage of time and knowing what you have until you lost it. But, anyways, getting back into the main scene, this is a very adorable scene, and I love how Frieren, even without fully understanding, like, what's going on here and why she's doing these things, like trying to find the ring, it's very important to her. And I think that's what's very powerful about this, is that Frieren is understanding some emotions, or trying to understand her emotions of how she feels as she, grows older. And she's like, why am I searching for this ring, even though I lose things all the time? She even states that within this episode. She loses things all the time, and Himmel has given her many gifts in the past as well that she still has. So it's like, why is this one thing is she so preoccupied or hooked up on? But as time goes on and she thinks about it, with a different lens, she understands why it's so important. And I love that. It's a really beautiful message, a beautiful scene. And in fact, I love the whole theme of what this episode really represents, because obviously we have this whole segment here with, Frieren trying to find the ring, but then most of the episode also is spent with, like Fern and Stark, and kind of how Stark, he's very socially awkward. He doesn't really know how to communicate with Fern, and obviously Fern seems very calloused or mean a lot, and, Stark doesn't want to make her upset. And so it's her birthday, and he basically didn't know how to form it into words, and he was like, I don't know what to get you, what gift I should get you, should we go together? And Fern obviously didn't take it very well at the beginning. She realized her mistake, and then they went shopping together. And I feel like what this episode really goes to show is that, once again, ages come and pass, new eras happen, new people will fill the shoes of the old, and same mistakes might happen once again in a little bit of different circumstances. Like, for instance, this entire situation is kind of very similar to what happened with Himmel and also with, Frieren, and how, like, one side didn't really understand each other's feelings. But in this case, it's very clear that they both are well aware of each other's feelings, or at least Stark is developing feelings for Fern. Fern clearly has feelings for him. It just, she's not gonna say it. She's a tsundere. We know this. And she obviously has, stuff in her closet. She just, is a massive pervert, so to speak. So it's just like seeing the interaction here and then the conclusion of it, where, like, they got the gift, and then you have the new priest characters like, yes, I see what you're doing and all that. It's honestly pretty funny. And then they're spying on the roof here too, making sure they're A-okay. It's a super adorable and heartwarming episode and all that, kind of showcasing that no matter how old you are, romance can still be in the air, and you can view it in many different ways. I mean, you can look at it as, something like a new beginning, a bud and all that is blooming into a giant tree for a relationship, or you can look at something that ages have passed and you're thinking about a previous love that's long since gone. It's really interesting. But besides all of that, though, I do want to talk about this little beautiful scene with, Heiter and all that, and Frieren. It's super adorable. She, like, starts head patting him and all that, and, people might want to laugh here, but I think what makes this scene so cute is that, obviously, Frieren is so old. Like, she's, like, basically 1,000 years old at this point, and she's rubbing this man's head that's obviously an old man, and from anyone that doesn't understand what's going on here, they would look at, like, why is this kid having to comfort an old man? Because obviously the whole message here is that, Heiter is always someone that, needs to put on this facade, this mask to be able to help out children and make them feel good and all that until the day he dies. Basically, fake it until he makes it. He has to play as an adult. And I feel like this is very realistic, too, to just how people are. A lot of people think when you get past a certain age, when you're 18, 20, whatever, you're an adult now, and you need to start acting like an adult. And the thing is, it's not that people just instantly turn into an adult. It's that people realize that they need to act more mature, or at the very least they need to try to be good for the generation that comes after them. And that's kind of what's going on here, is that he realizes that he hasn't changed, that he is the same person he's always been since he was a child. It just, he realizes that he also wants to make people seem like he's powerful. He wants to give that impression that he is wise and all that, for he can help the generation have, like, the new generation can lean on someone. And that's basically what happened here. And so when you see Frieren kind of come up to him and start head patting him and praising him, it's like, look, I'm also an adult and all that, so, you can lean on me, since technically to me, you're a child. It's a very adorable scene, and I love the messages here throughout this episode. It's super good, and this is one of the big reasons why I think a lot of people really fall in love with Frieren's anime, is because it has many messages about life, and just how to really view it after ages pass and all that, to new life, etc. It's great. I mean, you throw in great art and animation as well. It's clearly just a banger of a series. And, I mean, I can't get enough of this series. It's just so adorable. I'm so happy right now that I'm actually, like, an anime only. Because as I told you in my previous episode reviews, guys, I am now anime only. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know where the story's going to go, etc. I am completely in the dark with all of you guys right now. So I'm very happy about that, because I don't know where it's going to take. And this, like I said, this whole Himmel scene with Frieren, oh my goodness, my heart started beating. I was like, this is just super cute. I did not expect this type of scene, because honestly, with the way the series was depicted at this very point, it was kind of implied that Himmel was in love with Frieren. That's the impression I got. It never seemed like he tried to, like, send signals or messages to Frieren. Like, he was always just keeping it to himself, and he just never told her that he loved her. But it's very clear he did. He definitely told her, like, yeah, I love you, basically. But it's clear that Frieren probably never fully picked up on it until, obviously, much, much later. So, yeah, very interesting, honestly. Great episode of Frieren. I cannot wait to see where it's going to go next. But I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching, and may all of you have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.